We had a whole conversation about our inner rebel and the rebel archetype and how that journey has unfolded for me in my own life. So if you have not listened to that episode on Kristi's podcast yet, please do. I will leave the link for that below in the show notes. But I cannot wait for you to get to know Kristi herself today. She is a psychic medium and a soul coach for women and teens, and she specializes in emotional intelligence and adolescent development. As a former teacher turned spiritual guide and energy master, Kristi helps souls reconnect with their inner power and divine truth. Through holy fire Reiki, deeply guided meditation, and direct connection to the divine, she heals energetic blocks and facilitates profound transformation, creating full circle moments and sacred connections with loved ones in spirit. Ooh, I just got the chills. Hi, Kristi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I first wanted to note that I love that you chose the word radiant. That word's been coming through a lot for me lately, so that felt like confirmation as we kick off this conversation. And just to speak to full circle moments, I don't think I've had somebody actually read back my bio. It's normally something that just goes into the show notes of a podcast, so I really love that you do that. But specifically, I was thinking full circle moment, like, wow, this really is because I think about, 5 years ago when I was in the classroom and just reading back what you wrote, or sorry, you reading back what I wrote really just highlighted to me how much things are capable of changing and how much growth is actually really truly possible if we just
Yes.
follow our intuition and trust ourselves. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with you.
And how much can change in 5 years? I mean,
Yeah,
just miraculous. I can't wait to hear about your journey today and see where that conversation takes us.
yeah, me too. Where are we starting?
And I want to know, where are you located in the world?
I am located in Windsor, Ontario. I actually live in like a small town, like right outside of that, Essex. Yeah, so that's my home base. I love it because we're really close to the border. Like we border Detroit. So yeah, there's just lots of opportunities to travel and do a lot of really fun things. We also have like a lot of water around us, which has always been a big blessing because for me, nature, water, and just being outside in general really helps me to stay connected to myself. So, some things that I'm learning about myself and that I have learned over the last 5 years for sure.
And I ask every guest the question, Kristi, what is your astrology and what is your human design type? And offline, before we hit record, Kristi and I had a funny conversation about this. So, Kristi, I'm going to invite you to share and then we'll talk about it.
This is one of those things where I feel like, oh shit, I feel like I should have known this before coming into this conversation. It was literally bringing me back to like grade school, how I felt like I didn't have the answer or didn't have the right answer. Truly, honestly, I don't really know the answer to these questions. I know that I'm a generator, which makes so much sense because I feel like my energy is very much like cheerleader vibes, like holding people accountable, supporting them, and just creating that momentum for them with them is like one of my favorite things to do. So I know that about myself, but the first thing that you said, there's not too much information. I was trying to see if my intuition would give me some insight on what that looks like in terms of my, what did you call it?
Your sun sign. So, when's your
My sun
birthday?
sign. February 2nd, Groundhog's
Oh,
Day.
you're an Aquarius.
I'm an Aquarius, yes.
Yes. I love this. Yes. So being an Aquarius means that you are a bit of the rebel. I mean, the rebel archetype, which we spoke about, someone who's unconventional and who leads through doing things differently. And I feel like we're going to talk about that a bit today and how you've
I,
gotten to where you are now.
yeah, I was just about to say, I feel like we are too, because that's something that definitely resonates with me. And I can understand now why, like as a teenager, I just felt so dead inside.
Mm.
There's really nothing, no other way to describe it. But it makes so much sense because what you just said lands and it definitely feels right. Again, just wanting to create my own life from a place of trusting how I'm feeling, trusting my intuition, And I never knew any of this back then. Nobody taught this to myself or to anybody else around me, right? So how were they even supposed to know? But I do know that because I was essentially just like putting on all these different masks every day, or just like dressing myself up to fit what was happening outside of me, it really started to break down all of those feelings. Like my emotional guidance system was, to me, it felt like it was offline, although I know now, like the truth is that that's never possible. It's just that we're disconnecting ourselves from that. I don't even like to use the word disconnected because that feels too strong a word. It just feels like, when you take like the garden hose and just like bend it in half and you like pinch off the water. It's kind of like that. It's just like we're blocking the flow from happening. And I was blocking that flow because of all of the thoughts that I was thinking of how I wasn't good enough, or how I didn't have the right answers, or just comparing myself essentially to other people. So, a really cool and fun fact about my business is that, as I was telling you before we hopped on, I actually was working with teens in the beginning. After I decided to take the leap and leave my full time teaching position during a pandemic, and after having two children, and also going on a journey of sobriety, because I knew that alcohol was something I also needed to release from my life for my own personal health and well being and mental health for sure. So, all of that was happening. And I realized that teens were struggling. And I also realized that it was something that I was in the process of healing as I began working with them to help them get their credits so that they would be able to go back and graduate when they were already kind of online to begin with. And that morphed into me hiring my own coach, learning about emotional intelligence and really tapping into my emotions and learning more about myself. And I'm like, this is what is missing with these kids. This is what has always been missing with all the kids I taught in classrooms. They don't understand who they truly are. Like there's something missing for them, and it was that void that I always felt when I was younger. And so I started to have more of these conversations with some of the families that I could feel were aligned and open to it. And through working with their teens both academically and then on the more intuitive spiritual side, things just kind of morphed from there. And I started to recognize too that the women, the moms, as well, were also needing that same support, because really truly this isn't like a one and done. It's something that happens consistently and that you need to remain consistent with, not from a place of force, but just from a place of like allowing yourself to feel that way. And so finding community, building my own community has just really been such a gift. And again, as I said, as you're reading my bio, I'm like, holy shit, so much has happened in 5 years. It's absolutely crazy. But at the end of the day, it's like choosing to follow how you want to feel has now led to me growing a business. And I'm still in the process of growing. There's highs and there's lows, but it always works out. I have evidence of that. So that's where I'm at. And things just keep getting better in terms of my relationships. And then I'm also bringing in all of these new friendships, like yourself included. I get to have all these amazing conversations, and I'm just like, this is what I get to do every single day. I don't get to know the outcome or control the outcome, but I do know it's going to be a really good time, because so far that's what's been true. So that's a little bit about that.
I'm obsessed with all of that. Yes. And just love to hear your background and how you
Yeah.
got here. I mean, it's just so empowering. And I feel like your work really filled such a needed void in this space. My goodness. I mean, oh, and I kind of want to turn the conversation that you and I had together back on you, because we spoke so much about my inner teenager. And on your podcast, I know you ask a question, which is, what advice would you give your inner teenager? So first, Kristi, I want to know, how would you describe your own inner teenager? What does she have to say today? Let's get to know her a little bit. And yeah, and then we'll take it from there.
Well, I think for that question, what I would say is that there really isn't like a really elaborate answer that she needs. She always wanted to keep things super simple. I know what I know about myself now is that my inner teenager was always looking for somebody who was ultimately leading, not by the way that they like say things, but by the way that they do things, right? So actions speak louder than words. And what she was really hoping for was just somebody who was going to be a few steps ahead of her, but guiding her, somebody who inspired her. So essentially, this is the person that I have chose to become for her over the last little while. But when it comes to like what I would need to hear, I just needed a cheerleader too. And I spoke of that in the beginning. It's not even that I needed somebody to come in and rescue me or fix my problems because I didn't want to be treated like a victim, although that was the cycle I kept getting caught in because that's kind of the only way we know how to approach feelings and how other people are feeling because, feeling also safe to hold like our own emotional discomfort or to allow that person to be with theirs and just know that like they have a safe space to land essentially. So knowing I had a safe space to land and then also knowing that I had somebody just there to talk me through the times of challenge and remind me that I am so capable and that there are going to be so many possibilities waiting for me on the other side. So yeah, just somebody to really feel like a safe space
Mm.
would be the answer to that question. So simple. So simple because it really comes back to just feeling loved and enough if we're thinking in terms of the feelings, which is something that I've always worked on, including like with the teens, but also with the women that I help support today, is reverse engineering how you want to feel. Having Kathy Heller on my podcast a little bit ago, the one thing that always comes back to me is when she said something along the lines of, like, why would you wait to feel or why would you wait to get to the place where you want to achieve the feeling when you can actually just like feel it now? So I'm constantly focused on that, right? The choice that we get in every moment to choose how we actually do want to feel, no matter the situation. So in the contrast, I'm allowing myself just to be super present with everything that's happening for me. And also opening myself up to seeing it as a gift. And I must say, in the beginning, that was also challenging, trying to just practice a new way of being and a new language. But I also know that just that shift, like just shifting the dial, like even slightly in terms of compassion towards yourself, then that ripple effect in terms of like kindness towards others. So it was all of that, just having people around me really understand their own energy so that I then could understand my own would have been, yeah, so magical because it is now. So
That's such a beautiful answer. And you must be psychic because you already intuited the next question that I was going to ask, which is how do
sorry.
you provide that for yourself? And no, I love it. I freaking love it. So that leads me, that leads perfectly though, as a segue into what I want to tap into now, which is, did you have spiritual experiences or connections during that time of your life? Or when did that spiritual awakening journey first start unfolding for you?
So this is such a great question because this is something that I have actually talked to like my mentor and coach about. There's been a lot of conversations where I'm like, well, maybe that was, but you know how you can't really fully remember? It was more the feelings. Like I definitely remember. So, people speak of empaths. They'll talk about like, you're just a sponge, like you absorb other people's energy. I really, truly always felt that I could feel other people's energies. But I also felt that I was a very strong projector, even though I'm not a projector, I'm a generator, but I know projector is another one of the ones you can be. So
Yes,
that's
good
something
job.
I know. But yeah, just always felt like my energy was really radiant is the only way I can use to describe it. Because I also used to have people tell me that just like my smile, like there was always comments that were made that really stuck with me in terms of like my light really shining brightly. But I also didn't feel that way, which is really interesting. Well, as a teenager, for sure. As a child, definitely much more light shining through. Um, yeah, I just feel like there's something that's like coming through right now or that wants to come through. Like, what is it? It's like cutting me off
Take your
for like to
time.
go in like a different direction, which is interesting.
Take your time. Whatever you need to say it.
It's interesting because all of a sudden it feels like something is blocked.
Mm. Hmm.
And I'm not sure why.
Okay. Are you ready for me to pivot a little bit?
Yeah, say what you're going to say.
And so we've tapped into a bit about your work as a teacher and how that's led to where you are now in your business. But I want to know, when did the mediumship journey begin? How do you start tapping into your psychic gifts? Can you share with us a little bit about that story?
So, okay, so to bring it all back, so something, yeah, I don't know, that was interesting. I feel like there's something there in my childhood that was maybe trying to come through, but it's something that I'm gonna have to sit with a little bit more now, is what I'm hearing. So that's interesting. Um, but just in terms of like I was talking about like the feelings and everything, like always feeling really connected. I feel okay, so I'm definitely sensing that there actually was a lot more coming through for me as a child. I just didn't realize it. And actually, now what I'm hearing too is weird, is something that I wasn't ready to say out loud. I always felt very weird as a child and also very, yeah, it's because there's emotion there.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Yeah, I just always, and you know what, I think too, would say that I notice these same feelings show up when certain people, even now as an adult, like I try to make that connection. Wow, thank you for helping me get to that root today, my friend.
You're welcome. You're so welcome.
I was
Mm,
like, I know that something's up here.
hmm.
Okay, so maybe we can come back to that because I don't want to forget to answer your actual question and where I was meant to go with it. So moving a little bit forward, yeah, there's definitely stuff from my childhood clearly. And then moving forward though, it's like I never knew that or accepted any of that. So when I first hired my coach and started learning about emotional intelligence, I felt so connected to it. Like it was literally like language of the stars. Like it was this language of energy that I was like, holy shit, you all don't think I'm weird. You get it. You all are speaking the same language as me. It was like I was mind blown, and also how simple the shift was, also mind blown, and how I could just pay attention and be more aware of my thoughts, and how like that muscle would grow over time and I would really be able to experience life differently, again going back to like the assumptions and just unpacking all of that. So that's been a journey and it's been a fun one. But then when I connected through all of this, there's been breadcrumbs, and I connected with a spiritual mentor who's also a psychic medium. And it was just like instant. I remember she launched a course and I didn't even have to think for it for like 30 seconds. It was like aligned, book, buy, paid, done. Um, and probably after a month of connecting with her, I seen spirit for the first time. And it hasn't happened again. I see things visually. I'm definitely clairvoyant. Like I definitely see things in my mind's eye. But this time, it's as if the gratitude that I was feeling on that particular day put me into a space where I was able to actually project outwards whatever I was seeing visually in my mind's eye, but then it became a part of my reality, which was really, really cool to experience. It also scared the shit out of me at the time because I that had never happened before. So that was new to me. And that was really when I had like that clear evidence that helped me to really be like, wow, there is something so much bigger at play here. Like I could always feel it, but that was a really tangible moment that I now had, that I could not unsee. And then I realized how strong my gifts were getting because of that acceptance and because I literally had released so many beliefs that weren't true, that yeah, they just continued to grow stronger. And then I just continued to try new things like tarot and having more conversations with other people. And now learning about, see, I'm going to want to learn about my sun moon stuff. Yeah, there's just so many opportunities to learn. And I love learning. I feel like I'm such a curious person, um, which leaves me really open to receiving as well, which is what I love. I think my one of my favorite things though is just connecting with all the signs on a daily basis. Like when you really live an intuitive and soul-led life, it's to me it feels like romanticizing like everything around you. Like everything is just so magical if you allow it to be. I actually recorded a I do daily channeled messages on my Instagram page, and I recorded one the other day where I talk about how I was sitting in a coffee shop And I recognized in that moment that I was tuned to the frequency that I was wanting to hear, because all around me, I was hearing like kindness, compliments, laughter. And then I was in this flow of writing, like all of these like beautiful poems. And I was like, this is it. This is it. So yeah, just moments like that tell me that, yeah, that that's connection. And so I had that as a child too, for sure. I feel like we all do. It's just whether or not we are choosing to actually allow that in.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And I just love highlighting what you said around living a life of intuition. I just spoke to this in detail in the August energy forecast that my listener, if you haven't listened to that yet, I highly recommend that you do, because there's so many nuggets in there of wisdom that I share around this. But truly, we all have access to living our life that way. We can all tap into it. We can all live in this frequency. And a good example of this is when you leave the house and you're walking around and everyone's smiling, everyone's smiling at you, or you walk by two random people on the street and they just happen to be talking about something, and there's a snippet of conversation that's exactly what you needed to hear in the moment. And then you look to your right and there's this like feather on the ground, and you just have this feeling of, oh, I'm exactly where I need to be in this moment. It's just so profound, and we can all live our life that way. So, Kristi, my next question for you is, on that note, for someone listening who wants to tap into that, I know you're an expert on intuition. So can you speak to maybe some ways people could get started, or tips for living a more intuitively synchronistic life?
I'm like, myself is like, they're not going to like hearing this, but
Oh,
my higher
good.
self's like, say
Good.
it.
Tell us. Tell us.
Really, I just heard release the overwhelm. So I'm speaking to what needs to be heard in this moment. I truly trust that these messages find those who need to hear them as well. So release the overwhelm. And I'm going to add something to that so it feels a little bit lighter, but it's something that's been coming through a lot this week too, probably too, in terms of like Lionsgate. There's just a lot of exciting energy. So allow the excitement to distract you from the overwhelm. It really comes back to distracting ourselves and realizing that those stories that we're telling ourselves that are taking us down these energetic rabbit holes that we don't want to be in, like if we get out ahead of it and start our day with gratitude, with appreciation, with satisfaction, and it doesn't have to be like these large practices. Again, I just needed simple, and I just needed somebody to believe in me before I could essentially believe in myself. So get yourself somebody to hold you accountable. If it's not a coach, it could be somebody else, because everybody's looking for that accountability. So just make an energy exchange in that way, and just start your day off in the vibration that you actually want to continue receiving for the rest of the day, would be my suggestion. It's what works best for me. And then in the moment, so this is where I'm like, I try to remember back to a point where like I would have those good feeling moments, but they would feel fleeting because I would still get so consumed by my thoughts. I still hadn't really worked out all the kinks and how, yeah, how it was best for me. And I honestly believe that it's just an unfolding, and that just happens for each of us in its own timing and in its own way. But I will say that if I notice that my feelings are starting to follow a train of thoughts that aren't serving me, one of the best things for me to do is like I close my eyes and I just like visualize like a highlight reel. So I used to tell women or moms of teens just to picture like their teenager as a baby, and then as they got older all the way to teen, and initially like that shift in energy will happen as soon as you're allowing yourself to visualize something loving, for example, or the love you have for your child. So yeah, instant shifts if you're looking for that in that moment, visualization, and just like connecting with your breath and allowing yourself to see something that you love, something that you're grateful for, and just letting that highlight reel run through your mind. Um, yeah, will shift you away from what was happening before.
That's so beautiful. And I just love the first message you shared around releasing the overwhelm, because it really needs to be said. I mean, I know for me, when I have lived my life in the past where I have just clouded my day with so much, too much going on, and living kind of from that sort of scarcity point of view of urgency and intensity and I have to be doing all the things, I have to be giving to all these people, and I have to be, you know, just in that overworking vibration, you're gonna miss the magic of spirit. You just are,
Mhm.
because you're not creating space for it. You're just not, there's no space for spirit to land. And then you get frustrated because you feel unsupported and you feel like your guides aren't speaking to you. And where are they? And then you end up isolating yourself, but it's literally because you are not creating the space.
Yeah. And actually, in that creation of space for myself is where I came to the realization that I'm saying was, but it still creeps in, was, and still working on my addiction with overwhelm. And how stress can also be like an addictive way to comfort ourselves and to feel better to some degree, but it's really not like we don't understand what's on the other side of that resistance. Um, so yeah, and that felt like a really hard pill to like to swallow. Even as I say it just there, like my throat was like, um, because yeah, it's like how could that even be possible? But it is. It's patterning. It's yeah. I'm wondering if you want to speak more to this. I can see you're like
Well,
gearing up.
I have a question for you because I know you're a
Okay.
mom and I know you're a
Yeah.
business owner. So obviously you're holding a lot in your life, right? And you're a wife, you've got, a lot going on. So for someone listening who is a mom, who does feel overwhelmed, who has is holding on to a lot of things for people in her life, what guidance would you give her for releasing that overwhelm? And of course, I'll share what's coming through for me too.
Okay. So what's coming through for me is first just brain dump. Get all of those ideas out onto paper. I like to, if you're looking for like the tangible thing that you can do, search for energy leaks. Write the to-do list, write all of the things that you feel like you actually have to do. And then I will go through them and write next to them like the feeling that that actually brings into my life or that it causes me. Now, sometimes there are things, so then you can easily see like what's working, what's not, what's working, what's not. But you also have to use your discernment in this process because there may be some things that you are writing down that you feel like, oh, I hate doing that. Like that's the energy behind it. But you can also shift that energy. So you could take this like to a really like deeper place. Like, why is that the feeling? Is that the true feeling? But just again, using your discernment and connecting with your intuition on that and understanding that you are the creator of your life. Like you still do have the ability to put things on your calendar. Yes, I have kids. Yes, I have, the business that I'm running and the things that I have to do. But again, front loading, if I can, my day so that it is focused on my number one priority, which is me, which might not land well with a lot of people. It still doesn't land very well with my husband, if I'm being completely honest with you. Um, like he will say the kids come first. And of course, if it comes to their safety, anything, my kids are my babies. But I am also important, I think is the most important message to take away here. And so, yes, I am constantly making sure that I am aligned because I know that I am no good to anybody if the opposite is true. And so, weekly, daily, at whatever frequency you feel like, checking in with your energy leaks, what's working, what's not. And the other thing is just a lot more self love, like just a lot more self love in whatever way that looks like to you. I also believe that we are choosing what we want to create in our lives. And so you have the choice to speak to yourself in a kind and loving way and tell yourself that everything that you're doing is enough. You're actually probably doing way more than you need to, way more, and then some. Um, if we did an audit of your time, I guarantee you, we could, yeah, we could help you out in that area. Um, but also know that there are so many safe spaces is the other message that's coming through, because when you're in that space of feeling the overwhelm, sometimes it's really hard to release the momentum of that feeling. And so know that there are safe spaces, people you can reach out to and talk to. I love talking to people in my DMs, so you can send me a message. Meaningful conversations, as you know, Emily, are like my favorite things to have on my podcast. And if you're just having a shitty day, that's okay. Moving that energy and allowing that energy just to be present. Like, you came here to have a human experience, and that's what you're getting. That's what you're getting. And it's a really, really beautiful thing. And also, I see you through all the messy middle of it.
Mm. Yeah, so good. So good. And yeah, I love what you spoke to around energy leaks. I'm really in a phase of my life where I'm actively working through that and sitting with myself and asking myself, okay, where can I be supported with this? Or where can I delegate this? Or why am I, still doing this thing and having so much control over it? Can I like let someone else handle that? Or maybe this is something where I really need to close the door on this and let this go. So I really love that you spoke to that. For some reason, I feel called to ask this question. Yeah, so someone must need to hear this. So, as you're in a committed partnership, you're married, you're a mom, what are some things that you've learned around being on the spiritual journey in your committed relationship, holding that space for each other, being in a union with someone else? What has that taught you? And also, how are you navigating the spiritual journey in that relationship too?
I'm loving the answers that are coming through, but they're also making me so emotional. So
Oh,
I learned to appreciate my people so much more than I did before.
yeah.
Every single thing, like I mean, I still have my moments. So another thing that really drives my husband crazy is when I wear headphones all the time. But I truly feel like it helps me to regulate my nervous system. There are reasons that I do it. And I'm like, it's one of those things. I'm like, alcohol, that was an end of an era. But my headphones, like, it's something that it's working for me on my list. It's something that works. But reminding myself to like put devices away, to take those headphones out and to be fully present with them. So that's another part of filling my cup and reducing the amount of overwhelm that I feel. There's a big part of me, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, that carry like this unconscious mom guilt of, if we don't spend all of our time or give all of our attention to our children, that we are somehow failing at this. And it's just, I was thinking about conversations too that have been happening around me and things that I've been hearing. And I feel the weight of that. Like when I go to like family reunions or family functions and I hear people talking about the kids, or how so and so is raising their babies, or stories that they've heard, and the gossip that gets swirled up and everybody's all caught in it. And yeah, just this reminder that like you are so enough doing what you are doing, and you will be able to feel that enoughness and feel that wholeness in the moments where you just choose. I'm getting full body chills. If you just choose for like 60 seconds, if that's what you have before you go back to doing the dishes or folding laundry, like just to have like that conversation, um and really really hear it, or really really see it, or really really feel it. I feel like I was really numb to a lot of those moments. I think even back to like my two pregnancies, that was a lot of, I feel like I don't really remember much, to be honest with you, about those times. There's like small memories that I have, but I don't really feel like I was in it. I feel like I was really struggling for sure with my mental health back then. So that's one thing. But yeah, just appreciating the little things so much more.
It's so beautiful. And when it comes to parenting and being a wife, what little things do you incorporate in your parenting style that are intuitive, that help your kids or that help your relationship? I don't know. I feel like someone else needs to hear that too.
Well, I love it because I was doing something with my daughter yesterday. So we have these bath bombs right now that they're like loving. And there's always like these little things on the inside, like these little toys that come out. So, anyways, there was like a yellow and a pink one. So I was actually testing her intuition, and I was like, which one is the pink one? And she was like tapping on my hand to like pick. And she was getting them right like every time. You know what's another really small thing that I notice is when my kids will, like, if I'll ask them a question and they'll give me an answer, instead of telling them, like, no, that's not it, like, I will encourage and ask more questions and just kind of coach them through that versus just like telling them the answer. Being much more intuitive in the way that I parent, I would say, has been such a blessing because I do find that it opens their curiosity, it opens them to more possibility. And then I also find that I can see them like channeling their own messages and being super creative about it. Like sometimes I'll even be like, what do you think Layla, our dog, is thinking? And like they'll answer me. I'm like, you're right. You're so right. Whatever they're feeling in their heart, and you know that they're purely connected. Like it's just really, really beautiful to witness. So again, just things like that. And then obviously they get to experience a lot of the things that I love to do, which is just mainly spending so much time in nature, which I can tell is really, really good for their souls because I know it's really, really good for mine.
Oh, so cute. I love all of these tips. The other
Yeah.
thing that I know my listener goes through, because I've coached a lot of people through this, is going through the spiritual awakening journey in a committed relationship, and potentially within the relationship, maybe the other person isn't always on the same page as you. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that for someone listening. Like, is your husband spiritual? Is he open to these conversations? How do you handle those conversations? How did you handle coming out of the closet, spiritual closet, I mean, when you were going through that awakening journey? And what does someone listening need to know about
This is so good. I have never been asked this question.
that?
And as one would imagine, my relationship has definitely been one of those buckets that has challenged me significantly over the last 5 years. Also, watching my husband become a father was like highlight in those 5 years as
Mm.
well. But in terms of how much things have changed for me, um, I asked him once, I'm like you see the difference in me, right? Because like you're with me every day. You have been for the last 7 years. Like he knew me when I was getting like I just heard rip roaring drunk and like standing on tables at bars. Okay. And now it's like there's been a complete 180.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, yeah, I could definitely see for you how it's definitely a lot has changed. A lot has changed. But I feel like at my core, I've always been the same person, also meaning
Yeah.
like my heart has always been in the right place. That essence of me has never changed. It's just what I'm doing in my external reality. And so my husband is open. He is not spiritual. He is not on his own spiritual path, although consciously, right? I still believe that in some way he is. It's just not so much consciously, but also he connects with my energy daily. So have I noticed shifts within him? 1000%. He actually, in fact, has grown so much in the last few years. And I don't know that he would even be able to recognize it, but it's true. And what he has offered me the most in the last 5 years is just like his unwavering support with what I am doing. And I remember well, I was going to say I remember a time. There were a lot of times where I feel like even just in terms of, and this is coming through, like listening to other people post on social media about relationships and how if it's not if you're not aligned and your energies don't match, like things, your life is going to implode.
It's
And
true.
I do not,
Speaking
I
from
just don't,
experience, it's true. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Um, so yeah, I try to focus on what feels aligned for me. Um, and I just try to focus on the love. Like if there was no love and there was no support there, there's no way that this would be possible. And so that is there, but I'm also trusting that everybody is on their own timeline and whatever is meant to happen for him will. And I know that if I stay consistent in the alignment that I am feeling and connected to, that everything's going to work out exactly as it should.
What a gorgeous answer. Yeah, so deep, so wise. I love it. Yes.
That's what's up. That's what's
Oh,
up today.
so beautiful.
Or
Well,
Richard.
Richard,
Just had to throw his name in there.
Richard
Ricky.
Simmons,
Ricky Simons. Oh
Ricky
gosh.
Simons. Oh my gosh. I love this. Thank you for answering my personal questions, Kristi. They're all so beautiful. The answers are just so amazing. I want to pivot our conversation a little bit to talk more about the work that you do and how you help your clients and your channeling and your mediumship. So, the question that's coming forward is, what does your process of connecting with spirit look like? Like, how do your gifts, how would you describe your gifts, and how would you describe that connection that you have?
So energy for sure for me is like that main hub. Ooh, I'm moving my teacup out of the way and I'm getting into this. So this source, this source that I finally realized I was able to connect to, Reiki is what really opened this up for me. And then taking holy fire Reiki, I feel like was a whole nother experience. Just feeling more of a direct connection to the divine. So what I speak of in terms of like source, God, divine, it's energy. And I understand emotional intelligence like at my core. And so just this understanding that like the word emotion, the E in emotion stands for energy in motion, and that there are like these larger frequencies, these more powerful, more blissful frequencies that we are capable of experiencing. And then within this, there is also like this vortex of all of this information, which I believe you would call the akashic records, which is something that I've also connected with, right? Like I connect with those terms as well. But again, when it comes to this is where sometimes for me, it's like I understand the language of energy more than I understand how to put words to it, if that makes sense to you.
Hmm.
So, the way that I connect, especially if I'm doing a session with my client, is understanding that there needs to be first a grounding within the space and just a clearing of any energies that are there to allow for that clarity and that information from source to come through. um, it's also really, really important for me, like in that grounding space, to help them to really connect with their intention. I feel like a lot of people show up with an intention that they think is what they want, but it's truly by connecting with themselves that then that becomes a little bit deeper. And the really beautiful thing about the space is that they will show up with that intention they think they want, and then they always leave with exactly what they need. But what happens is co-creative process is the way that I work with my clients. So I will receive messages both visually, clairaudiently. I get all the sensations, all the feelings to kind of direct me as to, if the energy is masculine, feminine, things of that nature. And I also do pull tarot, which is really fun because I just love storytelling. It's also something that I really, really enjoy, probably the reason that I also have the podcast. And so, yeah, I will integrate all of these practices in, including energy healing, to help bring forth all the messages that they are needing. And normally at the end of the session is where we do like integration and energy healing so that they can really integrate the messages, the wisdom, whatever came through for them. And they're able in that meditative state to really hear themselves, even though it's me just kind of guiding and speaking it back to them. But yeah, that's essentially the process and how I work with them. It's an art. Do you feel this way too? That it's just like it's artistry?
It is 100% artistry, and a big aspect of it is developing your own style, which I feel
Yeah.
like we don't really talk about a lot in the spiritual community, but a big aspect of really owning your gifts is coming into your own style and your own creative expression and like how you, yeah,
Yeah. And
flow with
then
it.
I'm sure that you would agree is like, and this is one of the conversations that I do have with my husband is not trying to, just leading by example by showing him that in terms of the work that I do, there's also work that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees. To show up and hold space for somebody like that, I just need to make sure that I'm constantly aligned too. It's not like source is endless, it's infinite, the energy is always going to be there flowing. I just have to make sure in my own life that I am, as you said, with a mom, being a mom and all the other things that are going on, just making sure that I'm tuned in, tapped in, turned on when I need
Your
to
cup
be.
is full. Your oxygen mask is
Yeah.
on. Yes,
Yeah, so there's the
totally.
work of the soul reading, and then there's also the work of my own integration and literally the actual work, the actual art is me and my life and the experiences that I'm having, then bringing to the podcast, bringing to them and sharing. And then we're just co-creating together and they get to share theirs. And yeah, it's really amazing.
Are there any big themes right now that have been coming up with your clients, or any like collective messages, patterns, or just anything that you've been noticing with the work that you've been doing lately?
I'm thinking of somebody that I was with yesterday.
Yeah, if you have any specific experiences or stories that you want to share too, please do.
It really truly is right now. There's a lot of contrast. It's Leo season. Things are shining so brightly. Those who have already been shining brightly are shining even brighter, and the
Mm,
contrast is therefore getting bigger. Um, and what I find is this is when women that I work with, specifically I'm speaking to the ones that I have been working with, will, what is the word I'm looking for? Like they will fight for, advocate for going back into hermit mode. Like they will fight for their limitations or what they feel is limiting them. And so by continuing to justify why these limitations may in fact be their truth, they're just holding themselves there longer. Does that make
ooh,
sense?
yeah. So people
Um,
are really holding on to their resistance and trying to justify it. Is that what you mean?
yeah. And this is why in the beginning I also spoke of distracting yourself with the
Yeah.
excitement. Distract yourself from the overwhelm by focusing on the excitement. We can all feel this excitement that is coming in right now in terms of the season, in terms of the sun, moon, stars, planets, all the things. This is just a really like the overarching theme is excitement right now. Like we are meant to feel, I just heard plentiful, abundant, like that's the energy. And so naturally as humans, we don't feel worthy of that for the
Mm,
most part.
mhm,
We're some of us are working on it, some of it like we're all at different levels, but for the most part it still hasn't fully clicked. And so it's like what can I do to avoid feeling that good overwhelm where I feel safe and I feel comfortable? Because I
mhm,
know, at least I know from this place what I'm worthy of, what I get here and it's safety. Um, but there's so much more. Yeah, there's so much more beyond that fear. And it's just the fear of feeling good.
It's so true, Christy. Oh my God. And I mean, yeah, everything you said is so spot on. I just yesterday was recording the August energy update for this podcast, which you will have listened to by the time that this episode with Christy comes out. And it's all about tapping into these energies of abundance and overflow. And the thing is, we often create resistance around receiving those things that we so desperately want because we're holding on to the things that aren't good for us, the behaviors and the patterns and the stress and the anxiety and the too much to do and the I have to do it all and I have to hold it all and the stories. I know because I've been there. I've lived my life that way. I get it. I made myself ill from living my life that way. And then you can't remain in victim mode when you're not receiving the manifestations that you want because you're truly just holding yourself back. So unpack it all, let it all go, day at a time, step at a time, create the space, and that will create at least some cracks for the abundance to start flowing in.
Yeah. And what I've noticed for me now is trusting in that has allowed obviously for more trust. Like the trust just grows greater and greater as well. And the word addiction doesn't feel like the right word, but it's just it really is like you want to keep reaching for that, the stillness, the peace, the calm, like as much time of your own that you can like buy back in a day to do less better and just to be and just to actually allow yourself be in alignment, which then helps you to receive like all of these creative thoughts and ideas. And sometimes for me it'll be like call this person, you haven't connected with them in a while, or it'll be like go to this place and I'm like okie dokie, like not really sure why, but then I always know why once I get there. And even if I don't, like, it's just trusting. It's always going to come back around full circle if you just trust. Yeah, trust your intuition. It's guiding you to all of those right steps. I think it was, oh, I can't remember who said it, but it's like this visual of like a cork being like pushed underwater. Like essentially, like we are the cork. If you just release it and let it float to the top, like it's just going to flow. There's going to be waves. It's definitely going to be choppy, rocky, all the things. But that's what you're meant to do, is just experience your life. But instead of experiencing it to its full capacity, we are constantly trying to like hold ourselves underwater, and you can't receive anything from there.
It's so true. Oh my gosh, it's so true. And just to say kind of tactically how I navigate my own life, every single morning I wake up and with the intention of how can I be in my highest, that's not even the word. Let me say that again. Every single morning I wake up with the intention of how can I be in my most aligned vibrational state today, fully connected into source energy, fully abundant. I do just a short little meditative practice. And then I'm like, guides, like, who do I need to connect with today? Where do I need to be? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do? And I will have like faces of friends pop into my mind. So I'll jot them down in the notes app of my phone. Like, oh yeah, I need to connect with that person. Or, oh yeah, I need to reach out there. And sometimes I don't do it immediately in the moment. So I let things simmer. I put things in the notes app of my phone. I let them simmer. Sometimes a week can go by, sometimes a few days, but I will know the divine timing will be right. And then I will reach out and then I will make the connection, or I will go to the place or do the thing. And it is always synchronistically and perfect divine timing. And usually that other person knew that I was going to reach out to them, or I was on their mind too, which always just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
Do you know what's coming back full circle now? Like I'm talking about, there can be like those in the moment moments, but there are like moments from the past now where I'm like, okay, I met that person, or I was in high school with that person, or I went on a trip with that family and I met that person. And these people are now coming out of the woodwork, like coming back into my life. I haven't seen them in forever. And they're like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for somebody to speak the language you're speaking, like you get me. And so now I am coaching and mentoring and doing soul readings with people from high school, friends from the
Yes.
past. It's the coolest thing. But also, we have this beautiful thing called technology, which allows us to like branch out and expand and create more reach and further our connections with people. So I also get to work with people all around the world. But the really, really cool thing, and the one thing that I feel has just been so miraculous to me, is now recognizing like why some of those connections happened in the past, why they didn't work out in that timing, but how it came back full circle. Yeah, really cool. And again, that's a part of witnessing the magic of how like this golden thread is just like weaving itself through all of the areas of your life and stitching them together like so beautifully. It's a really great way to live. I don't know if I'm selling it enough.
You are. I think you are.
Are you on board? Are you on board? I feel like spirit is making me be like a salesperson today. I'm like, this is ridiculous. What is happening right now?
Yes. Come on, guys. Come along for the journey. Come along for the ride. This is how Emily the
Yeah,
Mystic lives her life too. You're missing out if you're not choosing this sort of timeline experience.
yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
So on that note, Kristi, what do you have going on in your business right now? How can people work with you? What are you offering?
So I keep things pretty simple, and I do also like things are constantly in motion. Momentum is happening and I'm constantly co-creating new things. But for right now, soul readings are one way to work with me. So I do 60 and 90-minute readings. I also do radiant soul experience. So again, yeah, you use that word at the beginning.
Oh my God,
that's
so
that's
freaking perfect.
that's a 2 hour like energy healing reset, essentially. In all of these, like you receive the guidance, like the channeled messages for yourself from your higher self, your guides, all of that. But also connection with loved ones is a possibility if that's something that people are open to. So those would be all of the one-on-one sessions. And then I also have a soul alignment journey that I'm hosting monthly, and it is growing and it's so exciting every month to invite more women into this space. So essentially, it's having me in your back pocket. I love flexibility because I'm a mom, and I know that a lot of people just want to, again, buy back their time. So it's one call at the end of the month, but 4 weeks of just community connection and then one-on-one support. Like I said, I'm in your back pocket if you have certain questions. Yeah, I channel messages and do support you in that way and hold you accountable to the things that you also want to come into alignment with your soul. So those are all the ways. Then there's the podcast, Intuition for Women and Teens, if you feel called to check it out. And I don't know when this is going to be going out, but I'll just mention it because there will be others in the future. But I am hosting like activations. So these are all like workshops essentially. I don't like the word workshop, but it's like an activation happening for Lionsgate Portal that I'm hosting with my friend Jennifer. I also do self-love meditations in other people's communities. So those are ways to connect with me as well. So yeah, connect with me by sending me a message. I'm a real human and I love having meaningful conversations. So start there. And yeah, would love to invite you into the space.
How radiant of you, Kristi. I love it.
Thank
And
you.
where can people find you?
Best and easiest way, Instagram, Kristi Simons Coaching. That's KristiSimons Coaching. And then, yeah, the podcast is where I also spend a lot of my time. There's a new episode weekly, and that's it.
And of course, we have to wrap up our conversation today with the question, Kristi, what does being a mystic mean to you?
What does being a mystic mean to me? So I have come to this truth that the younger version of me, my like child self, my teen self, they both always knew that magic was real. And so the more that I move forward along my journey, the more that I realize that their truth has really been guiding me all along. It was really connecting with like those younger versions of myself who have always felt that there was just this oneness that we were all connected to in some way, that there was this love and light that was essentially stronger than anything else. And so for me, being a mystic feels like that. It just feels like walking around, like I'm literally seeing somebody like sparkly and shiny walking around and just spreading love and light and just helping to really raise the vibration of other souls. Like there's something about collecting souls that I absolutely love and watching them begin to thrive and like their light to fully come back on, because don't forget, we're never fully disconnected. That's not possible. It's just watching them really tune in. For me, really being tuned in and connected is living a mystical life. And so I want that for other people as well. So it's watching all of that magic begin to rise. I'm literally seeing right now, like, those fireflies. I'm seeing like all of these fireflies like flying up. So again, it's really romanticizing things too. It's being able to live your life in such a beautiful, real way, because we are still experiencing this physical reality and this physical plane, but there's so much more that you can experience when you start to really integrate like all of your different, like it's not just the five senses. Like if you can get everything else online too, like what your body was truly freaking created for and is capable of, like you're not gonna, it's experiencing the world through a different lens, and it's the lens of love.
Oh, oh, yes. I just love it because you're taking me on such a beautiful visual journey with that answer through childhood and magic and the fireflies and the summer
So
nights. And
can you
yes.
see now how when you get me at like a dinner table, if somebody's like, pass the potatoes, I'm like, hey, do you want to have, like, nobody wants to make eye contact with me. They're like,
Oh my God. I love
totally
that so
kidding.
much. My headphones fell off.
I had to end on a little joke. I guess,
I
in
love
case you
it.
feel a little, yeah, a little left out. Yeah,
Oh,
that one's for you.
and I usually ask the question, what final tips do you have for living a mystical life? So I feel like you answered that. So I'm just going to say, to wrap everything up, Kristi, do you have any final last message? Any final thing for the listener that they need to hear right now?
I just heard thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for you. This feels like a direct message. Um, it feels like the person who shows up or who showed up to listen to at least this conversation today has been showing up to listen to a lot of your episodes. Feels like probably people that are both in your space personally now, like you work with them personally, but there's also people that have kind of been like on the fence for a little while. They're so in, though. They're just not fully bought into their worthiness and themselves and their capacity and their capability to be able to show up in a way as you do because you really inspire them, is what I'm hearing. Um, so, yeah, the message is you are ready to take the leap because you know it feels aligned. So trust the feeling and take the leap when you're ready. And just start to have the conversations about what you can do next to really support yourself so that you can get yourself free from feeling emotionally disconnected from yourself and really truly stepping back into your radiant self as we move into this next chapter.
Wow, Kristi, that was so meaningful to me. You have no idea.
You're so welcome.
Thank
That's
you.
what came through. I have to, that's what came through.
Thank you.
You know.
Beautiful. Yes.
Hmm.
My heart is so full. Thank you for
Oh,
sharing. Sorry,
we
go
wore
ahead.
same tank tops today. I just wanted to
Yeah.
highlight
And
that.
Kristi and I, of course, are matching today. So that just goes to
Yeah.
speak to the power of energy and intuition and
Hmm.
how we're always being guided by it every minute of every single day. Thank you for listening. We're both sending you so much love.